Communism's Sinister Makeover. Commentary. Communism got a sinister makeover after the Cold War. Somehow, collective memory has forgotten that Marxist and communist ideologies contributed to 61 million murders in the Soviet Union between 1917 and 1987. China has experienced at least 60 million murders over the past 70 years and an estimated 330 million forced Chinese abortions. The killing in China persists today. In the intelligence community, we believe that the exponential increase in organ harvesting over the past 20 years, combined with the use of 93 state-run military hospitals for transplants and murders, may have led to at least 3 million deaths attributable to forced organ harvesting. Rapid economic growth and international trade participation gave some the impression that communism might just be the key for some countries. Last night I even saw somebody say, well, she isn't in the Epstein files. Ignorance abounds. China certainly doesn't practice communism light. China's citizens are imprisoned under ruthless, murderous, and atheistic oppression. They have no concept of free speech. They have been indoctrinated since birth. 1.4 billion people have been hypnotized to hate God. The Chinese regime's unrestricted warfare against the West includes trade war, drug war, economic war, intellectual property theft, cyber war, and cognitive war. But the worst of all wars is the war against God. From my book, The Red Tsunami, The Silent Storm Killing Your Freedom, I write, communism abhors and bans God and all other religions as the source of any authority. It replaces God with worshipping the state or head of the state as the only God. It replaces love with fear. It replaces a truth with demonstrated lies. According to Pew Research, nearly 40% of Americans today believe we are living in the end times. Many fear the mark of the beast, a system that restricts food and shelter if one does not pledge oneself to Satan. The mechanics of the beast system seem more plausible than ever, with accelerating surveillance systems, tracking and tracing methodologies, biometric data, and behavior patterns stored by tech companies, and DNA data sold like a commodity. The walls are closing in on freedom. The mission of Satan has always been described as threefold: steal, kill, and destroy. In the book of John, Jesus warned us, the thief does not come except to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I have come that they may have life, and that they may have it more abundantly. Communism, and in particular, the Chinese Communist Party, through its policy of unrestricted warfare, embodies these same three objectives: kill faith and individuality, steal the fruits of human labor, and destroy families, communities, and culture. In fact, communism takes it a step further. It requires adherents to destroy the very belief in God. What we see today is, quite simply, the epic battle between good and evil at biblical proportions. Geopolitical forecaster and hedge fund manager David Murren recently shared with me his perspective. Though the CCP doesn't appear as a demon with horns, it's the darkest aspect of human systems. Dark is the suppression of the soul. Dark is the suppression of freedom, our ultimate potential, and our aspiration. Light is the encouragement of each individual's self-journey. This darkness would remove any light that was left in the world, without doubt. You see the God takeover everywhere you look. One case in education, where institutions are indoctrinated, co-opting Judeo-Christian, social justice, traditions, such as caring for the poor and the widow, and welcoming the stranger. However, they've stripped away their origins in divine law, humility, personal repentance, and a life of virtue. Ironically, alongside these social justice movements is what scholar Gad Saad describes as suicidal empathy. You can see this all over: defund the police and IC protests, where, from within the very communities that have mourned the brutal rapes and murders of innocent young women, people take to the streets to protest the very soldiers seeking to clean up our streets and enforce the law. The anti-God Chinese Communist Party plots, funds, applauds, and amplifies the West's cultural and religious suicide at every turn, particularly through education and social media. They have their hands in our education systems, manipulating curricula so that children, as in China, are indoctrinated to hate America, hate freedom, and hate God. In fact, The CCP has invested billions in United Front operations, which include propaganda, influence campaigns, and institutional infiltration, carrying this neo-Marxist, soul-denying erosion. Pastor Tommy Quick, founder of Christian Families Against Destructive Decisions, identifies the CCP and communism as the counterfeit messiah, an antichrist order designed to enslave humanity under a false banner of peace, justice, and equality. David Wilkerson, the late Assemblies of God pastor and author of the prophetic bestseller, The Vision, described communism under Mao Zedong as a satanic system that prepares the soil for the Antichrist. He linked Mao's cult of personality to the man of lawlessness, described in the New King James Version, "Let no one deceive you by any means. For that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God." China's social credit system, bloody suppression of religious freedoms, and numerous propaganda arms draw parallels to a rising global satanic deceiver. The entire CCP apparatus is unalterably antichrist and anti-Christianity. As it says in Ephesians 6 verse 12, "We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against spiritual hosts of wickedness." The satanic forces they have unleashed on their own people, especially people of faith, can only be viewed as a forerunner of what they intend to impose on the rest of us, should they get the chance. In my book, The Red Tsunami, I offer a way out of this infiltration and subversion aimed at dethroning the Most High. Namely, your family must adopt a strict social media policy. Apps developed in China have been engineered to promote woke, Marxist, and anti-God messages. Influencers are paid handsomely to fuel dissent, division, and disdain for Christians, Jews, and, ultimately, God. Above all, starting today, you must stop fueling your enemy. Stop voting for politicians with ties to Chinese companies or funding. Stop buying anything made or manufactured in China, where those funds are used to fund your enemy. Invest more time studying scriptures than you do on social media. Go straight to the source, be of sober mind, and he will make your path straight.